Okay, we can start.
Perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm very happy that I can be today with you as part of the Fuchs Digital Creativity Program. I think programs like this are important and valuable not only because they give you an opportunity to learn something, but also because they give us all a chance to get together, to connect artists, curators, digital creatives, a lot of different people who care about the same thing. And today and this week, it's mainly about art and bringing art to people. I'm your second lecturer today. I hope you enjoyed the previous workshop, but I also hope, since I'm doing this night shift, I will be a good match for the end of the day in terms of the topic and the workshop, which is a bit more of a brown bag concept. As I will be sharing with you what we do in collezionare.com, which is literally about making art accessible to wider audiences. And I will also be sharing with you some of the more pragmatic things from our learnings that you will hopefully find useful and maybe adopt some of it into your own projects, or at least you will decide that you do not agree with it, and at least then you know what not to do. So the topic of my workshop today is making art accessible to wider audiences by leveraging digital platforms. And as I said, the main reason is why I'm here today, that for the last 2 years, almost every hour of my day has been around that. My name is Nik Kolveshi Radlović, and with my partners, I launched and I run collezionare.com, which is the first digital art platform in Croatia, focused on promoting young visual artists and developing new audiences, mainly through digital channels. Just to say in the beginning, I'm not the biggest fan of online meetings with a lot of participants because it's quite hard to maintain an open communication. But Zara, please, if there are any comments or anything in the chat, you can kind of let me know. Otherwise, the plan for today basically is we have around 2 hours. I did book like a good chunk of time at the end for Q&As, but as I realize now, joining at the end of the last session, this is something that can also be done offline. However, if you do have like questions or comments throughout the presentation, I would really encourage you to note them down. And maybe in the end, we can try to have a bit of a conversation. Many times it has proven to me that, you know, these opportunities where people who are actually participants can share some of their thoughts and their experiences can be even more useful for the other people who are in the session, kind of coming from the same place. So if we manage to do it somehow at the end, I would be very happy, and I'm also sure that I could learn a lot from you as well. Okay, so the plan for today is I wanted to start with a bit of an intro about myself and actually more about how I ended up in art, because art is not something that you know, I went to school for or did professionally for the most of my career. So I think giving you some context around that is going to set the scene for the rest of the presentation. After that, I will present a bit collezionare.com and actually what are the different things and the different channels that we are present in, and how we combine all of that to make art more accessible. After that, we will discuss what are the different things, the different digital platforms that you can use to promote your art. And after that, around 7:45, we'll have a quick break. And after the break, as I said, I wanted to do something a bit more pragmatic. So I decided to focus on 2 things that are super important for us in collezionare, and also 2 things that we are basically doing completely and developed completely by ourselves. One of which is building a website, and the other one is building social media accounts that some have found to be quite successful. So maybe there's something to share from that knowledge. And at the end, I would like to kind of conclude with some of the key takeaways that I really want to take from this session. And then we have the Q&A. I hope that sounds like a good plan for everyone. So I'll just jump into the first part. So I was actually, when I was preparing for this, I really wanted to find my old LinkedIn profile photo, which is the one on the left, and kind of show it to you together with the one on the right, because I think it really shows the big difference of, let's say, the professional space that I came from and where I am today. The first one on the left, you can see me like probably not 3, but maybe 5 years ago, in a suit with a corporate logo, with a nice haircut. And on the one on the right, you can see me as I am today, not only a few kilos heavier, but also in a more kind of chilled environment with some art behind me, no logos. So the kind of what I do, the culture that I work with, the people that I work with, both from like my partners and my clients is a different story. And why I wanted to kind of focus on this a bit is because I used to work in strategy consulting. I worked for a large consultancy, so thinking about what I do today, maybe for some people it would be a surprise and they think that it's not related at all. But in my opinion, there are a lot of things, a lot of experiences and things that I've learned in like a corporate business environment that are really helping me today do things that we're doing in Colleccionart, and mainly around how we are trying to build new audiences. So in strategy consulting, actually my job every day was to lead teams that were helping global consumer goods companies to define their strategies and their plans. So this is companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Nike, Nestle, and so on. And we were working with them in teams to kind of define what are the new markets that they want to go in, what should be the new products they're going to invest in, what are the main things that they should focus their time on so they can get the best return, or what should they do to reach new customers, or even like how they should reorganize their own organizations and what they do to make sure that they're achieving their goals in the most efficient way. And I think, you know, if you think about like the online art market today in the world, in this globalized, fast-paced world, you really need to be innovative. You need to be able to kind of understand quickly what's changing on the market, and you need to react to it. And above all, you really need to have a good plan and decide what are these things that you are going to focus on, because there are so many things that you could be doing in the digital kind of environment. And if you try doing everything with like a little bit of your effort, probably the outcome is going to be like you have a lot of things, but none of them are really good. So my opinion is you need to like find what are the things that are most important for you and that you want to focus on, and then really hone on these things and try to do everything to get the best outcomes out of that. So today in Colleccionart, what I do every day is exactly what this topic is about. So presenting up-and-coming visual artists through content that is informative, educational, entertaining sometimes, and it's delivered through digital channels with the idea of reaching new audiences that are not the traditional ones that will be following, you know, art anyway, and in this way really growing the market. A really important aspect of all of that for us is really to build a community of art lovers across the digital and physical channels. And some of the things that I will talk about today is, even though we're talking here about digital, as you can imagine, in the kind of world of art, physical is a very important thing, not just because the artwork is physical, but also because the experience of getting together with people who are interested in the same thing is something that creates a lot of atmosphere and ambience that people who like and follow art really appreciate. Before we go into the main part of topic today, I was thinking that it would be really good to share with you this slide, especially as you're now starting a week long, full of workshops that are about basically how you can improve yourself to be a better part of the digital art market. And this is a question that I myself was having 2 years ago when I started thinking about starting something like colleccionar.com. And that question was, is online art market even a thing? As I said, like people, we intrinsically think that people want to see art like physically in front of themselves. Who would buy things online, like who would buy NFTs and things like that? And the point is that the market size, so like the global online market in this year is estimated to finish at around $9.5 billion US. So this is a huge, huge market with a lot of potential, with a lot of opportunities. And what we can see on this graph on the left-hand side is that even though from like 2013 to 2019, this was an industry that was growing steadily and like just going up, up, up. From 2019, we see a huge spike, right? And this is driven by the pandemic, by the COVID pandemic that happened, that changed all of our lives. And it also changed our habits and our people's behavior and basically in any aspect of their life, how they do things. So even in art, it basically shifted the market a lot to the online. And as we can see, it doubled in 5 years. And if you look at the second bullet point, which is the growth rate, which is expected for the next 7 years, and the forecasted revenue for 2030, it's again going to double. So it's going to be $18 billion. So the market is huge. There's definitely opportunity for everyone. And what is important is that the sales figures point, it's not only about the kind of overall value of art sold, because you could say, okay, everything shifted online, auction houses like Sotheby's and Phillips will sell art pieces for 50 million. Maybe they were sold before physically in auction houses and now they're sold online, but it's not just that, it's also that the number of the transactions has increased. So we really see that all kind of artists of all ages, whatever level they're established, are really seeing a big increase in the sales that are happening online. One benefit of your online presence is obviously the global reach. And maybe this sounds like very, a huge global reach, but I think that even if you can reach someone in your own country who's maybe in a different city and would not otherwise be able to like see your work in an exhibition or something like that, that's already a big benefit of online markets. But of course, there is a chance that someone like an international collector or buyers can at least be able to discover you through a website or a social media account, and it just kind of expands the possible market for any artist. Obviously, there's also the trend around the NFTs, but also I like this point about the accessibility. I think there is a lot of like mysticism around galleries, and there are like some places where everything is very expensive and everything is very important, but no one knows what the price, no one wants to go in, no one wants to ask. And if you basically serve all the information that is relevant and important for someone that could be interested in your art online, in a format and in a channel that they can access at any point from anywhere they are and get all the information that they need, they will feel much more empowered to get into any kind of a conversation with you as an artist or with us as a gallery, and even like think about, starting to think about the purchase of an art piece and so on. So there are a lot of good benefits of a digitalized, let's say, art market, and there definitely is a big opportunity for everyone. Okay, so what is Colleccionar? And what do we actually do? Like, how do we use and leverage the different platforms to achieve our goals? So Colleccionar is the first digital platform in Croatia, which is specialized in the promotion of young Croatian artists and the sale of their works on the domestic and international market. There are a couple of reasons why we decided to start Coleccionar. After several months of preparation in March 2023, so it's been a year and a half now, we launched Coleccionar with three main goals. The first one was to create a new channel that will systematically promote young, high-quality Croatian artists. The second one was to inspire people all over Croatia, and especially focusing on the younger generations, to become interested in art, first of all. And the third was to encourage people to buy their first works of art by giving them a very simple and transparent process to do that. And there were a couple of like challenges that we had to overcome, or maybe better to say like general, let's say, problems that we wanted to solve for the audience. So some of you are from Croatia, some of you are from Slovenia, Italy. Maybe this is a bit more characteristical for smaller countries and slightly more underdeveloped art markets. But in Croatia, we have a big challenge that we don't really have a systemized market. We don't have a lot of galleries. We don't have a lot of like auction houses. Most of the artists, especially like younger ones, are basically presenting themselves by themselves through social media in a not really structured way. So the journey for someone who is not really well informed about the scene or about the artist or about the prices, which are, by the way, not transparent, is quite complicated. And it's very easy for people to, you know, drop on this journey of discovering something to buying that thing. So we really wanted to make something very transparent, very easy, very accessible, and to empower people, as I said, to really just educate themselves and inform themselves wherever they are. So that was the first thing. The second thing is that there's this sense that people, especially younger people, are not that interested in art in general, which I would tend to agree with. But my view was always that people have the sensibility. It's up to us, to like galleries, institutions, museums, and the educational system to actually serve them this content and to educate them. And since we decided to focus on like the younger crowd, we really decided to hone on digital channels and on social media. And what we're trying to do here is to create content which is going to be in the same format that like the content that they consume every day on other topics while they scroll, right? So if we want to make art something that they think about, then we need to present it in a quick, snappy content with good visuals, with some videos, basically, you know, kind of shove it into their normal way of consuming information, and then make sure that they feel like this content is valuable. And then we're slowly kind of educating them and making them, first of all, think that this is something that's their point of interest. And then with the other channels and the other things that we do, we're trying to encourage them to buy the first artwork potentially in their life. And part of this journey is also the fact that we focus on the younger artists who are going to have probably more accessible prices than artists that are older, very well established, or dead. So there is a bit of this like price point view, but it's also the fact that we are, you know, for the groups that we are targeting, we're bringing them the aesthetics, the art aesthetics, which is also coming from a younger generation of artists, and it's probably aligned to their interest. One thing that I forgot to tell you in the kind of intro is that while I was living in London, and just before I moved back to Croatia, which was 2 years ago, I decided that I would like to leave consulting and go do something that I would be a bit more passionate about. But I was still looking for some roles that were connected to my experience of defining strategies, growing markets, and so on. And I stumbled upon this amazing company that is called Avant Art. And maybe some of you are familiar with this company. It's basically a startup that was founded by three young Dutch guys in Netherlands who were really into contemporary art, but they never had enough money to afford it. So what they decided to do is to work with up-and-coming artists across the world and develop with them series of limited edition prints that would be sold online, have a global reach at more accessible prices, and in this way, kind of like make art more accessible. And at that point, when I was interviewing for them, they already were a huge company. They had 500 employees, 250 people in Rotterdam, 250 people in London. They have worked with more than 300 artists. They had more than 2 million people following them on Instagram. Basically, they were like a super successful company in art that was approaching kind of growing the market in a very new and kind of young way. And even though in the end I returned to Croatia and I didn't end up working for them, like that experience of learning about the company, meeting the CEO, the people that worked in the company, seeing like a totally different kind of young culture in an organization that is in art, which is typically considered a bit more traditional, really gave me the kind of motivation and kind of belief that anywhere in the world there is a market for art, there is a market for like younger artists, and it's only up to organizations like us to present them in a way which is going to be interesting enough and kind of intriguing enough for people to start thinking about it. So our mission is to use digital channels and social media networks to present good contemporary Croatian artists to as many people as possible. And the other thing actually that is not written here, but it's super important for us, and we always communicate it, not like directly in written, but whenever we have a chance. And the reason why I want to share this with you is because I think that when you are communicating on like website, on your social media account, or in person with people, it's really important to like share that part of the story, which is like, why are you actually doing it? Like what is the thing that is driving you? And for us, a huge element, besides the first one, which was to engage new audiences and to make them like interested in art, was to actually create a market where young artists will be able to like sell more and earn enough so they can live from this creative work that they do, and not that they have to like look for jobs that are completely not related to their profession, and then kind of risk ending being in a situation where they're like tired or like uninspired or unmotivated, and they stop actually doing art, which is something that very often happens when artists graduate from the Academy of Fine Arts and they get pushed into the real life. And especially in a small market like the Croatian one, a lot of them kind of find it very difficult to maintain these both things. So what we are trying to do with Kolekcionar is to really dynamize the market, increase the number of people that are buying, increase the sales overall, and really enable artists to kind of live from what they like to do the most and from what they have been educated to do. So to achieve that goal, the goal of our website was to enable people to meet the artists at any point in time, 365 days in a year, from wherever they are. And actually, the idea for this, let's say, more kind of multi-channel, multimedia approach came to me not just because I knew of some practices like avant-art that are similar to that, but also because the idea to do Kolekcionar was really a result of me going to one street art fair in Zagreb, noticing a stand of one artist and like immediately seeing paintings that like caught my eye. And I came to that stand, I wanted to meet the artist, and I was super interested, but I was really in a rush and I didn't have time. and I asked for her contact, and I asked to arrange a meeting in her atelier so that I could see more things and kind of like get to know her work better. So in a week's time, I went to the atelier, and I had literally the most impressive experience of someone explaining me what they do and why they do it. At this point, this was like a 23-year-old artist who was at her fourth year of the Academy of Fine Arts, so like super young person. But she was so eloquent, she was so concise, she was so to the point on explaining me like where the inspiration comes from, what does the creative process look like. I was super impressed. Like I worked with a lot of people in the corporate environment, and they're very good presenters and sellers and whatever. But this was like so inspiring that the first thing that came to my mind was like, how do I bring this experience to thousands of people? And I knew that obviously not thousands of people can come to someone's atelier, but we can create this experience through the digital channels, right? We can create videos where we film these artists in their ateliers, where we interview them, where they can share a bit of their story, where we can see a part of their creative process. And if we combine that with like good information about the artist, with like critical texts that are written by curators, with very clear like CVs that can prove their credentials and so on, we can, even through a not physical experience, create this feeling that someone has met the artist. And the whole idea was based on our own experience to like get them to fall in love with someone. And when they really get interested in that person, in that artist, the art will look even better because then it has a different dimension. It has a personal kind of story, and we knew that this was the way how we wanted to kind of engage people and get them to at the end like buy that art. So at the moment we have 15 artists that are part of Collection Art. We are soon about to we have a new artist joining us. We have a very, let's say, like personalized approach of working with the artist. So our goal is not to have like 100 people on the platform. It's more like realistic to have, I don't know, every year like 4 or 5 people to join. So it will take some time for this to grow. But even with these 15, 16 people, we're now offering people kind of like a cut of the scene where they can get a feeling that through meeting these different artists, they get an idea of the whole scene. They can put different people in different contexts. They can see the prices, which is very important. And they're really engaged to kind of like learn about the artist, about the artwork, and about art in general. When I was talking about the, let's say, multi-channel approach, there are a couple of channels that we are using. One of them is the website. The other one is the social media accounts. These are kind of the ones that are maybe more important for today. But as I said, I think in art, that physical element is super important. So in addition to that, we also have a walk-in gallery here in Zagreb, which is not that big. We like to say that it's not small, but rather cute and charming. But it really enables us to give an opportunity to people that see something online to come in the gallery and like see it in person, talk to us, and have that whole personal experience. And we also do exhibitions and pop-up events which fall into that same group. Just some numbers in terms of the digital aspect. The website, I think in the first year had around 250,000 unique visitors, which we think it's a huge success. And also on social media, which is really important for us because here is where we start to build that community. We have, I think, at the moment around 4,500 followers, which again, in the context of like comparative institutions in Croatia, is a really high number. Like for maybe different markets, it's not that insane, but for comparative kind of institutions, it's quite big, and for us, it's super important because this is the channel for us to directly on every day communicate with people about our artists, about the new artworks, and have a channel that we can push like things through. And even if like one person decides that they like this piece of art and they want to buy it, it has served its purpose. So we spend a lot of time, as I said, developing the content, both audiovisual, both photos, both copy, text, that will go on our website and that will go on our social media. In terms of the kind of platform structure, high level, and what is the benefit of each one, as I said, the website is the main one. And I think you can always think about, like, even if you're going to be doing your website or if you have it, this is the place where you can put all the information that is important for someone who is discovering you or who's trying to get to know you to get, right? So our website is the main channel for the customers who are really interested, where they can get all the information that they need to make the purchase decision. Along those lines, what we try to do on the website is to make it very simple in terms of like researching. One path is to go through the artists and basically go through their individual pages and focus on each one individually and learn about them. And the other one is to go to the artworks page, which is more like an e-commerce, let's say, website, where there are like hundreds of art pieces. But again, there it's like quite easy to filter and sort if you want to focus on different artwork techniques, or if you want to focus on different artists, or if you want to start from like a lower price range or a higher. So that experience, that like UX, user experience, is really important. Even if you just have like a portfolio website, really try to make it quite user-friendly. And obviously there are like some other boring information, which is important for people to like understand that this is a serious thing and that, you know, they can feel safe in terms of like buying from kolekcionar.com. But obviously it's not something that we want to communicate through social media. So social media is mainly focused on serving on like multiple times per week, high quality, informative, inspiring, educational content, and to basically become, for the people that follow us, like a place where they can get their daily dose of art, let's say, content. And through this service that we're giving to them, or through this value that we're giving to them, to create this community of art lovers, which is also like a really good base for turning these people into potential buyers. So social media is super important. We also have a newsletter that's going out on a monthly level. If you're considering like newsletters, it's important to know that, okay, maybe the reach is going to be smaller than your social media accounts, but the advantage of a newsletter is that these are the people that have willingly, you know, like proactively subscribed to your newsletter. So they're really interested and they're like really good people to keep happy. So the least that you can do is, you know, like every quarter or like every 2 months or something like that, you can put together a small like newsletter where you can share all the main news about yourself, about the new art that you're doing, about maybe some exhibitions or like events that you're going to be part of. So this is a really good group to kind of keep close to you and like develop a relationship through this type of communication, which is a bit more personalized than just like posting on social media. And the last thing is the pop-up events and the exhibitions that we do. As I said, like maybe like even like a couple of months before we started kolekcionar.com, we didn't think at all that we would be spending so much time, not even that much, maybe not even at all, on kind of like producing exhibitions and events and so on, because the idea was to kind of leverage the digital channels. However, it has turned out to be super important for the overall kind of success of the story of Kolekcionar and the building of the community. And I'm pretty sure for the sales itself, whether directly or indirectly, to have these opportunities where people can come together, see art, meet the artists. And this is actually bringing this concept of social media community to life. And again, this is something that we're giving to the people and to our audience that is following us. So it's another kind of act that is helping us strengthen their loyalty to our brand. And just to paint the picture, in the first 18 months, we had 16 events. If you can forgive us like a month each summer, that's basically almost one per month. And these were like solo exhibitions, 6 of them, then 7 pop-up events where we either like did the group exhibitions, or we had artists that are coleccionar do something here in our space. We also were part of one art fair. We organized 2 years in a row a summer art residency in Makarska, a town on the Croatian coast, together with their city museum and their city gallery. So a lot of different things where we are trying to like spark that interest. And really like the point here is just to hone that, you know, even if you're like an artist who is promoting themselves by themselves, you're not going to do like all these things, but try to think that what can I add maybe to the digital that's going to create a bit of that physical experience as well. Okay, moving to the next topic before the break. So I wanted to put together some digital platforms that I think you can use to promote your art. Obviously, there are like a lot of things that you could do, and it's a very long list. But I decided to focus on 8 of them. So I will go now through them in a little bit more detail and kind of try to think around how you can use them. So the first one definitely in terms of digital is the social media. That is the easiest thing that you can do. If you don't have a digital account yet, please make it. Today, people, when they search for something, they will go first on social media and then on Google. So especially in art, I feel that's even more prominent, but in general for anything. So you could use platforms like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook to showcase your art. In our experience, we have decided, we do have Instagram, we also have a LinkedIn, but we decided that, Facebook and LinkedIn, but we decided that Instagram is the one that is most aligned to what we're trying to do. It is out of all of the kind of social media, the most visual one. So that works for kind of communicating art. And then TikTok, we thought it's a bit kind of, maybe the target audience is not that much on that social media. So the point here is that you need to think like, who is my target audience? Who is my like ideal public? And then try to go on the platform that's going to facilitate reaching these people in the easiest way. And the other thing for social media is really important to kind of like share a bit more of the personal story, and not just, you know, like this is the different artwork that I created and then just post it. The kind of engaging and a bit more personal content are the things that are going to get people hooked up, and that they will get them to notice you amongst like millions of people who are trying to present themselves doing similar things on social media. The other thing is the website. Again, the main point here is that almost anyone can build a website. And this is coming from someone who built a website and really is not a tech freak and super interested in these things. There are a lot of platforms that you can use that enable you to build websites very easily. And these platforms offer templates, hosting of your website. You can ask questions. You have people you can talk to that can help you. And it's basically making them very accessible for artists at any level of tech expertise to build a website. And the main thing is for you to choose the one platform that aligns with what you want to achieve and with your aesthetic. Basically, like this is the main thing to think about. The third one is the newsletter. I already kind of talked about it in our example, but it's very useful to kind of like have that regular communication with the audience that is more interested and most engaged with you, and not miss this opportunity to like keep them engaged. The fourth thing are the online galleries and the marketplaces. I mean, this again is there are a lot of like online galleries and a lot of marketplaces. You probably have heard of Saatchi, Art Finder, Etsy. There are a lot of, especially for NFTs, if that's what you're doing, there are a lot of like platforms that you're probably going to learn about in this week that are amazing. But in the same way, like for the NFTs, it's really important to decide which one you want to kind of put yourself on because they're quite big. There are a lot of artists, and it's quite hard for people to like find you on this online marketplaces if you really go on the big ones. You can also try to find some more niche ones, and then on these ones, if you kind of start working with them, like for example, as our artists work with us, then you get a bit more of a personalized approach. You're part of a smaller group of artists. The people that come to that marketplace will like more easily find you. There will probably be more focus on presenting you. So the idea is that these platforms can definitely help you sell more work, connect with collectors, or just like present yourself. But it is important to choose the one that you feel like is the most useful for what you want to achieve. Other things are virtual exhibitions. We have made for our gallery basically like a virtual walkthrough where we have a 3D walk tour through the gallery where people can click on different art pieces, and then this takes them to the page of that artwork, and then they can see more info, photos, price, buy, and so on. But even things like organizing virtual art exhibitions using platforms like ArtSteps or Kunstmatrix are like cool things that you can do for your community or even just for yourself to kind of try to see what an exhibition would look like. But it definitely allows people to explore your work in a more engaging way rather than just looking at it on a website or through social media. The other thing is to collaborate with influencers. This is a bit like tricky. You don't want to make your art seem like too kind of like commercial or like for mass market, but if you find the right people who kind of project the values that would align with what you kind of want to project or talk to the same target group of the audience, there is something that that could be beneficial for you, and you could very easily reach a lot of new followers who are on their network and don't know you, but they might be interested into your work. Community engagement is another thing. So participating in online communities or forums like Reddit or on Facebook groups, like even in Croatia for any type of like art, whether it's about old artists, modern art, contemporary, there's going to be some kind of a group that will have like 10,000 people and more followers. So these are potentially good communities, but you can share content about what you do, ask for some feedback, just connect with people, or just like get an opportunity to present yourself to new people. And then the last one is crowdfunding projects. So I'm sure you have heard about like platforms like Kickstarter and Patreon, where people present their ideas. The main thing is that they're, I would say, innovative or like authentic or unique, like whichever aspect of this you take in telling your story. The idea is to like get people to buy in and want to help you to achieve whatever your plan is. And here you can then offer rewards, like some small pieces of art, or like access to, you know, some like behind the scenes events. But basically you can like fund your art projects, you can grow your audience, You can get like new followers and like new audience that is really involved in what you're doing and like emotionally engaged. And especially when it's coming from the artist individual themselves, I think these can be very powerful stories, and also like a very useful way for you to achieve something. Okay, 7:46. I'm 1 minute late, but I think Zara now is time for a bit of a break, so we can cut for maybe five. I don't know if we need more time, maybe 5 minutes.
I think 5 minutes is okay.
Perfect. Okay, so we'll start in 51.
Yeah.
Okay, slowly coming back. So just saw that Antonio and Tara posted a question. Thank you. I suggest if you want to post all of your questions even as we go through, and then I can try to answer most of them in the Q&A session. I think we will have enough time, and then we can talk more about this point. Okay, we're moving now to the second part of the lecture today, and this is the one that I said will be a bit more practical. And once again, I just want to say, like, in no way that this is like the best way or the only way to do it. It's more coming from a person who like did it, and what I have found to be useful. So hopefully some of it is going to be kind of useful learnings for you that you can kind of skip my mistakes from the beginning. So in terms of building a website, what are some important things to think about when you're starting to do that? The first one is definitely your level of tech skills and enthusiasm. As I said, I really believe that like anyone can build a website. Of course, you can like hire someone to help you or like do it for you, but I don't know how it is for you, but I'm still, financially struggling in the art market in Croatia. So anything that I can do myself is great, especially on the start. The point is that if you can spare some time to kind of like do a bit of the research, see what are the different platforms that you can use, and I will tell you in a minute on the next slide, like for all of these points, what my thought process was and the process in general to like do these things. But the point is, these platforms, like the ones that we mentioned at the beginning, like Shopify, Wix, Squarespace, they're really created to enable people to create their own websites without having a lot of knowledge about backend designing websites and so on. So that's the first thing. The second thing is around choosing your domain. So that's when you decide like, okay, my website is going to be, I don't know, Anna Jakobson dot something. Is it going to be .com? Is it going to be a national domain like HR for Croatia? Is it going to be a .art, which is a domain which in recent years has started to become more popular, and a lot of people use it to like initially kind of communicate what this is about. But the important thing here to think about is who you're targeting, right? Are you kind of targeting a local market? Are you targeting more an international market? Sometimes also it can happen that the domain is already taken .com and you actually need to find something else if you want to keep the name that you have chosen. So like .art could be a good option then, or .eu. There are like so many different options, but it's important to think about what is the domain that you want to use, and also where are you going to buy it, right? Because there are like platforms, hosting platforms like GoDaddy is maybe one of the most famous ones for buying domains. But in the last like 5-6 years, the platforms, hosting platforms that are more designed for building websites and developing websites, so like this front end part, that you can also do now, let's say on GoDaddy, but it's not going to be so easy, or it's not going to be such a good user experience for you to do it. You can now also buy the domain on these other places. So like on Shopify or on Squarespace, you can immediately buy the domain. And that is a good thing because you have everything in one place. You have optimized your cost. Everything is connected for the same hosting provider. So this is something that that you should keep in mind. And the other point on number 3, in terms of choosing your hosting platform, is to check what they offer, right? Because they don't offer just like the ability to build a website. They will also offer a lot of things that you need in order to like have a good website that is giving good experience or that is enabling you to communicate with your audience in a good way. They will have things that are required to do that already within their package, right? So some will offer different things, and you need to decide what is most important for you and where you can get it. The other thing is, why are you building the website? Are you building it to basically present your portfolio, which typically most of the artists that are building a website for themselves, this is their main purpose, or you're building an e-commerce website. E-commerce means that you need, I mean, it doesn't need to be huge. Maybe you just want to sell, I don't know, 10 of your products or art pieces or whatever. But then it's important that you choose the platform that is going to have the ability to have the functionality of e-commerce. So then you would go to maybe like Squarespace or even Shopify, which specializes exactly in that field, in a sense that it makes it very easy for you to do all the things that you need to do in order to be able to sell. Number 5 is aesthetics, which I'm sure all of you will agree because you're all creatives. I'm sure it's very important to you how your work and even yourself are presented. So the website is the digital, your digital ID in the digital world. So I would definitely, put a lot of effort to make sure that you are happy with the way that everything is presented. Visually, from my experience, when artists do their own website, usually it's really good because, as I said, it's important to them. But sometimes, if you're part of like some other galleries or like some online markets, if someone else does it for you, you might not be happy with how it looks. So then just try to, communicate with them and, if possible, make sure that it's done in a way that you are happy with. Because for most of the people who will be interested in this art, this whole presentation is going to be a big factor in terms of how quickly they're just going to like drop from your website and not be interested. Point 6 is the content. Obviously, everything that you put onto the website in terms of copy, visuals, and so on is important, but it's also important that it's easy to navigate it. So what you can see here on the left-hand side, which is a screenshot of our website, this navigation panel on the top, which is basically a header which stays on whatever page on the website they are usually shouldn't be more than like 6-7 things. This is already like borderline too much. But the idea is that like it's super clear, what this is, and it enables people to jump very easily for one thing to another, and you're covering those main points of interest that they could be interested in through like a very simple search journey on the website, rather than having like one super long thing where they need to scroll and I don't know, dig very deep to find something. High quality photos is something that we're going to talk about, and information as well, so I'll leave that for now. Number 7 is the infamous SEO, or search engine optimization. That's basically when someone like searches for art or for something that you do, how high on the search list on Google you're gonna kind of like be put. Obviously, everyone's goal is to be the higher the possible. But today it's also quite hard to achieve that, because everyone is working to have a better SEO score. When we are kind of competing against big organizations that have many more people and much more money to focus on that, obviously that's very hard. And also there is a problem that on some things, like depending on the searches and the different industries, but very often the whole first page on Google is going to be ad, right? So like sponsored places that people are bidding to be on. So there's a question around how important it is. If you even have the best SEO and the best content, you're going to be on page 2 and who's going to go to that. But what I think it's important to understand is that there are two aspects to the SEO score. One is the functional, and the other one is the qualitative. Qualitative is the one that people are most usually familiar with, and that's basically I'm writing some copy that's on my website, which is useful content for people. And Google is going to recognize that I'm offering this good content. So when people search for something that's related to that, I'm going to be put by the Google algorithm quite high. And this, I mean, this is something that, one can pursue, but it takes really a lot of time to like understand what are the key like search words, what are the different structures around how you're going to put them in your text, what words are going to go in the title, what's going to go in the subtitle, what's going to go in the paragraph. So it's like a science itself. It's not really like, oh, I'm writing a copy, which I think is really interesting and useful. You could write the best content in the world, but if it doesn't fit that criteria and that structure, it might be all in vain. So for us, for example, we do have a couple of like blogs, and we try to now and then write new ones. However, we decided not to focus that much on that, given that we have to prioritize our time, our money, and so on. And in terms of the qualitative, what we're trying to do and what has proven to be quite good, and it's again connected to like the events or some kind of stories that you can build that are interesting for the audience. Our approach is that when we have events, which are like interesting topic for media portals, we always prepare like a PR brief, which is going to be made of like really, really, really good photos from the opening, that will showcase the artwork, that will showcase the artists, that will showcase the people who are on the event, that will like transcend the atmosphere. And together with that, we prepare a copy which informs about the event. Then it has like a more professional, let's say, introduction to the artist and the exhibition and whatever the like new series of artwork is. So we try to package in a slightly more digestible format of text, which can have a very wide audience. A lot of information that we find is very important in terms of presenting our artists and their work, but still, as I said, in a format that we know is going to get then shared. And in those copies, when we mention Coleccionar or the artist, we put a link. So obviously, when this is going to print media, this doesn't work. But here we're talking about digital channels. So once it's published on like trusted sources of media portals, this gives a big plus for you in the Google checklist. So this is something that we kind of focus on to improve our SEO. The other one is the functional one, which is basically understanding, does the website load quickly? Does it have some bugs? So these are the things that are actually important for you to kind of know if there's any problems and to fix them as soon as possible. And it's super important also for the experience of the person who is visiting your website. So that's something that you should focus on. I know there are some, I don't know exactly the names, but there are basically, if you Google kind of like free tools where you can kind of just link your website and they will do an analysis and tell you automatically like where are some of the problems. But even if that is a bit too complicated, it's worth like to hire someone to like do that check once and just see if there are like some burning problems. And then from that first experience, you can learn at least where are these potential areas, and then you can manage that yourself. And number 8, which is super important, is the fact that more than 65% of visitors to website come through mobile devices. And this is important because it's a totally different experience to, look at something through this size of a screen and through a computer screen, right? So when you're designing, you need to design for both options. For us, I know from our insights on the website that it's even more than that. It's like 70 plus. So this is something that you need to keep in mind when you're designing your website. In terms of what I did when I basically like said to myself, okay, I'm gonna build a website, and maybe some of you are in that position. So the first thing that I did, I consulted with friends who had experience in websites, whether it's because they built their own websites or they build them for someone else because it's part of their job, or they're in some kind of an industry where they have just a bit more knowledge about like what are the different options, what's happening. So it was important for me to kind of not just like go on the World Wide Web and look for different options, but to, from the start, from someone who I trust, get a few advices on what I should focus on based on what I told them I wanted to do. So they gave me their advices. They basically introduced me to these different platforms. I did a bit of research, and just through research, kind of drilled down to a few of them. And this last thing is super important. Without trying them out and trying to do yourself something in them, I don't think you can really decide which one is the best for you. And the way to do it, I mean, it's very easy. Like on most of these hosting platforms, you can open a free account. It's going to give you all the functionalities for free for like 1 month that you would get or that you will get when you pay. So even if you spend 1 day on one platform trying to do something, and even if you're not doing it like correctly or like in the best way, or you're not getting to the outcome that you want because you actually need to research a bit more and like look at some tutorials and so on, you will immediately know if something is more intuitive for you than the other. So I would definitely encourage you to try at least 2, maybe 3, and decide like what works best for you. In terms of the domain, we chose .com because we wanted to communicate a more international focus. And we also thought that even if you're like, we obviously were building our brand first in our local market, which is the Croatian market. And one could say that, you know, like .com, it doesn't really help us. I was not illusioned that in the first year we will have people from, I don't know, Germany buying art on our platform. But even in terms of communicating to the local market and to the local audience, we thought that the .com would be kind of showing our idea to present that not only to the people in Croatia or to the market in Croatia, but also internationally, which is one of our goals and something that we started working on a bit more intensively this year after achieving some of the things on the Croatian market that we had kind of goal posted for ourselves. But the important thing to know is that you can also buy other domains. So we also did buy coleccionar.hr, and there are multiple reasons. One, the main one is to protect your brand, because you don't want someone else to buy now that domain and basically create a problem for you. The other one is that some people maybe will actually go and put in Google, you know, www.whatever.hr, and then if they put HR instead of com, they will not find you. But what you can do is just link all these domains to your main website. So for us, the .com is the one that we have on Squarespace. This is our main hosting platform. And then we bought HR and we just linked it so that when someone puts coleccionar.hr, they will come to our main domain. By this, we have protected our brand. We have made sure that people who might search for a wrong domain will come at the end to our website. And also, there are a lot of like businesses basically that when they see a certain domain is kind of growing, a certain name, they will buy that same name with the different domains. And if you want it in the future, then you will have to pay, I don't know, 20 to like 1,000 times more, depending on how attractive the platform, the original domain is. So with a cost that it's really not that big in terms of a yearly subscription, you can just do it in advance and kind of secure yourself. In terms of the hosting, so as I said, we chose squarespace.com. It was like the most the most user-friendly for us, why I personally like it, and why I think for artists it's quite cool. It's like zero coding, also like Shopify, like WordPress, for example, which traditionally a lot of people in Croatia have used because they were using like external people to develop their websites. You do need to have some extent of knowledge on coding. From my understanding, it's something that one can learn also like without having prior knowledge, but it involves time, effort, and so on. And any kind of change is a bit more complicated. Whereas on Squarespace, Shopify, it's very easy. Squarespace is the one that definitely puts the most focus on the design. And this speaks to the aesthetics part. So I think for artists, it will be very easy for you to find even a template that you will like, that will be very clean, that won't like be in any way too like overtaking, and that you with your own content, with your photos, with your text and so on, can turn into something that no one would think is a template, but it's going to look really nice. The way that it works in terms of designing and actually building the website is literally dragging and dropping things. So you will get like a canvas, like a white, area, which is split into like small boxes. And then you will be able to like insert, let's put a block which is text. Let's put a block which is a photo, a video, a product that is integrated with my backend for e-commerce. So all of these things are literally like just drag them, put them in, change their size, put them where you think like it looks nice. So it's extremely, extremely easy to do. And the other things that are here written are basically all the good things that Squarespace has included in the subscription. So like as I said before, you will get the domain by using their hosting platform for building the website. So you have eliminated that cost. You can get a Google Workspace, which is super important, especially if you're working with other people, to have like Drive place in the cloud where you can organize all your documents, all the things that you're working on together. And an additional thing is that with this Google Workspace, you will also get, like, depending on which subscription you have, 2 or more professional emails, which again is a really important thing. As you can imagine, if you are like sending to someone or they go on your website and they see my contact is annejacobsen.gmail.com, it's different to like saying annejacobsen.annejacobsen.com. Like it immediately gives a slightly more professional feeling. Other things, for example, that Squarespace will be integrated Google Analytics. You will be able to really dig into like who is coming to your website, what is the volume of visits, from which countries, and so on. And you will have like different external, like third-party, like platforms, which could be very useful for you, like marketing platforms such as, I don't know, MailChimp, which is used to create email campaigns. That again is going to be like part of Squarespace. It's going to be integrated. You will be able to do everything from the same place. So this is not to say that Squarespace is the best one. This is to say, really do your research before you decide which one you want to go to, because they can offer you things that you think that you need to buy, and you actually will get them in the package. And then the last thing about platforms like Shopify or Squarespace, which are like globally recognized with like millions of like customers, different to, for example, like, I don't know, WordPress, where you're gonna like customize building your own website. Even if you don't have some things built in the website itself, for example, you want some like special filters, or I don't know, you want the website to calculate different prices for different deliveries or something like that. You will be able to find a plugin. So like a third party is going to be selling like, buy a filter so you can filter on 10 things, buy this plugin so you can have a map on your website and people can like zoom into it. And this is most of these things are made for these really big hosting platforms. So it's very easy to like add something if you don't have it. Portfolio versus e-commerce. It's not just about what you're building that I was talking about in the last slide, for which purpose. It's also on how are you going to get this payment process. So if you are selling, how are you going to collect the money from the person who wants to buy your art? Again, with Squarespace, what I liked from the beginning is that their main partner for payment processing is Stripe. This is a global company that specializes for online payment processing. It's like a huge company. It's super reliable. It's very easy to like understand their platform and use it. The cycle in terms of getting your money paid out is like very short. So this is something that you want to, you know, think about. If you're building a website, I don't know, in Croatia or Slovenia, maybe some smaller market, someone is going to say, oh, take this local supplier for payment processing, whatever, they have something better. But then if you are in the long term thinking about a more international market, probably an international player for this thing is going to be better for you. And from my experience, they also have better deals. They have like smaller cuts in terms of taking from the payment of your clients. In terms of the aesthetics, yeah, as I said, I tried different templates, and I was always thinking, how easily can I, you know, personalize them without like doing some original design, like proper design. One thing that I found very useful was to find examples of websites that I liked. If you go and check out Colleccionart and Avan Art, maybe you will see that we copied a bit of their stuff. But once you like find something that you think works, you don't have to take the whole thing. You can just take some elements of it. But it's going to be much easier to visualize what it is that you're building towards, rather than like doing it from the scratch. And this website, www.doingcoolstuff.xyz, is a really cool website where basically it's a collection of, it's more like focused on marketing professionals, but it's a collection of like websites and brand campaigns and different kind of like visual things in terms of presenting brands that go for some, I don't know who does this filter, but it's very cool, very current, innovative way of presenting things. So I encourage you to check there and see like what works for you and what you would like to kind of imitate a bit. In terms of the content, so copy, my partner and I basically created everything ourselves. We thought that it's super important for us to like really tell our own story and for that whole text to be authentic. So there wasn't an option for someone else to write it. In terms of the audio visuals, so the photos and the videos and so on, we engage with like our partners, external partners, who help us do that because we don't know how to do that. We know some things, but we don't know everything. So you need to decide, draw a line on like, I can't do everything myself. Maybe in something I can invest a bit to get to outsource this task to someone else and actually save a lot of time for myself and get like a much better outcome. So we kind of split it this way. In terms of the SEO, I talked about kind of like, yeah, getting these links to our page on trusted sources. So that's a good strategy. And the other thing about the functionality of the website is, especially when it comes to art, we have a lot of photos. So it's quite important that we don't kind of completely drag down this whole website. So even though when we get like reproductions of the paintings or whatever, they will have 50 megabytes. But when we are preparing them for the website, which is great for print, for example, but when we're preparing them for the website, we really want to get them under 1 megabyte. And usually it's around half, like a 500 kilobytes. And a really good page to do that is tinyjpeg.com, which will optimize the size of your photos for like 90% without compromising the quality. So that's a good like little trick on how you can optimize the size of your website. And then in terms of the mobile optimization, again, all of this like big hosting platforms for website design will have, first of all, 2 views. So you will be designing the same thing, and let's say you're designing it for web, you will click on the mobile and then you will see how it looks there. it's going to be automatically adjusted. But again, you can make changes here as well yourself. They have Squarespace has a super user-friendly mobile app, which is not only important for our like business side, but it's also very easy to kind of design things there and make quick changes. And the important thing is that even though when designing you have these different views, always test at the end how it looks by actually going to that page on your mobile phone, because they have different even if the screen is like slightly bigger or smaller, it's going to look different. Let's say you think most of your people go through like iPhone or whatever, just check to see like what it actually looks like. Okay, so moving from the website to the part around the social media. I was trying to like think about all the different things that people have told me and that I have seen like when researching and preparing for Colleccionar, because also like it's one thing to build to have your own like personal account, and it's a different one when you're doing it in a more, let's say, professional way, when you're targeting people not just to follow you, but to follow what you do, right? So I've split this into halves. The left side is my favorites, 7 points, and then the right side is like things that are useful to like think about. But if you're gonna remember something, please remember the left hand side. So the first one is to find your voice and stick to it. I think this is super important, and it's really important that this voice is consistent across all the channels that you use. So you're not maybe going to have as many channels as we do, but if you think about it, like, and when we talk about this voice, this is to decide whether do you want to communicate with your audience in more like a funny way, a cute way, a serious way, and as a strictly professional way with like limited information, whatever it is, and that like tone of voice, the way that you structure the sentences to communicate with them needs to be the same on the website, or at least similar, not completely the same, but similar, consistent on the website, on the social media, in like different, like, I don't know, articles that you publish, blogs. And this is really important because different tone of voices will attract different type of audiences. So you need to decide who are you attracting and how you're going to do it. And the other one is this consistency makes it look, and I think it is in the end, if you're consistent, authentic, and it gives the feeling that like whatever you're communicating in whatever channel, it's coming from the same, doesn't need to be the same person, but like from the same group of people who share the same idea around like what is happening here. Good way to like decide what you want to do is to maybe just see like, oh, which are the accounts that I like and that I enjoy and that resonate with me, and maybe that's the same type of feelings and emotions that you want to instigate in your audience, so you can again try to not mimic, but see like what works well in these examples, in these accounts, and then try to apply that to your situation. Number 2 is to tell your story. Super important that that whatever you are saying, it has at least a bit of a personal note. People engage much better with the content that is a bit more personal, that will allow them to get into someone's life a bit, not in a way that they need to know everything or that you need to like film yourself saying stories, but like you can share a bit of your process, you can show things when they're not finished, you can share some things that happened, I don't know, some mistakes or something bad that happened. But I think it's really, really, really important to like personalize all of that content a bit and make it part of like the bigger story about yourself, because this is what's going to get people to engage with your content and to, as I said before, I think to like differentiate yourself from other people, because you and what you do and why you do it is the most authentic thing and the most unique thing to you. So that's gonna kind of separate you most clearly from everyone else. Stay authentic, I think I kind of covered. High quality visuals, super important for all of us in art. The photos really need to be good quality. If you're not like keen photographer or whatever, get someone to do them for you. This is an investment that's going to pay back a lot. Engaging captions and engage with your audience. I mean, in terms of the captions, kind of similar to tell your story. If you don't just put like a photo of an artwork and then the title, the dimensions, the year that it was made, and whatever. Try to share a bit of a story behind it. Why this name? Is it part of a bigger series of artwork? Why do you like it? Anything that's going to engage the audience a bit. And then when they comment on the things, definitely be, like quick to respond to their comments, like them. This is again an opportunity for you to write in the reply something that's going to show your kind of tone of voice, your approach to your communication, whether you're like more like open to communication or more closed and so on. So this is a good opportunity to kind of use that space. And then finally, analyze your insights. It doesn't need to be anything super complicated. Even if you just go on Instagram, open your posts, and then just check, which are the ones that have more engagement, that got to more users, that drove more kind of views. It doesn't necessarily need to be likes always, but even like views. So then you can decide like, okay, this type of format works better, this type of content works better, maybe I should focus on doing more of these things. Insights, as for anything in life, obviously super valuable, and Instagram will allow you to get them very easily. And also another good thing, not just about the content, is on your account in general to see what is the demographic that is following you. You can see like what are the age groups that follow you, in what percentage, from which countries, from which regions, what like sex, is it male, is it female? All of this can then help you also understand who your audience is, how you can better communicate to them, who you can also target in real life situations. So a lot of useful content. Out of this, other things to keep in mind. So posting schedule, the point here is that people appreciate when they see that something is like coming to them regularly, and then they get used to it, and then they feel like this is a more organized account, let's say, or organization or artist or whatever. Good, like one good tip from me is I have a super simple Excel table where I just like write for the next month what are the usually 3 per week. I don't know. What are the 12 things that I'm going to post this month? A little bit of a prep in terms of text. What is the visual that I need? And when I'm going to post it. And then by like spending this 1 hour, maybe in a month, I don't really get like stuck in other things. And then I don't have time to think what to post because I already have like planned what it is. So even if I don't have a lot of time, if I just follow what is written there, I will at least maintain this schedule. Hashtags, again, big science in itself. My advice would be not to put like 70 of them, but rather focus on like 5 to 10, the ones that are a bit more targeted and that will help you stand out more. Because when someone looks for, I don't know, I mean, oil painting is not a good example. It's also like quite a broad, but let's say it's better to put oil painting or collage or aquarelle or I don't know, some kind of an NFT rather than putting like art because it's gonna get a more focused group of people in terms of what they're searching for. Stories and reels, definitely use them. Stories, opportunity for you to share something that you wouldn't necessarily want to have on your feed. Here you can be a bit more loose. You can share something that it's, maybe not completely to the standard of like the posts that you're posting, but it shows a bit of that personal side. It's more of like a quick sneak peek into something that's happening. It's a bit more maybe personal. You don't want to have it forever on your feed. So really I always try to use stories for these kind of more personal things that are going to engage the audience in a different level than the posts. And in terms of the reels, they're extremely important in terms of reaching non-followers. It's still one of the latest like functionalities of Instagram. So the algorithm really rewards accounts that create reels, and it will push them automatically to people outside of your followership. So every time you will get a lot of new people that you otherwise wouldn't be able to reach. Collaborate with other artists. This can be, you know, again, like you can, with someone who's your friend, think about like doing something that's going to be obviously a good output, but also will show to your audience this part of like collaboration with different artists, teamwork, the process. It just gives different insight into what you're doing and how you are as a person. But also if it's shared for both accounts immediately, both of you will get like additional reach additional audiences that you otherwise wouldn't get. And I mean, this can be as simple as you know, your friends share your post. It doesn't need to be like a big some project that you work together. This will also help you reach new people. Share user-generated content. If like people who bought your artworks are like posting their photos in their whatever apartment, or them like holding the piece, or any kind of like engagement with the art, that's like a great stuff to kind of reshare, to kind of give some sense of reliability to your other audience that okay, someone else has decided that this is, you know, good, that this is like worth whatever the price is. So it instantly kind of creates this feeling of this has been recognized by others, so I'm more inclined to kind of recognize it myself. And even you can, if you're like close to the people, you can even kind of ask them if they're comfortable to like share something, and they could even send it to you, and then you can repost it. But again, people love, you know, when they see that someone else loves something, or that someone else has reviewed something positively. So this is always good stuff. Contests and giveaways. I mean, again, this is a bit, in my opinion, risky. Like you don't want to make it seem too commercial, but if you are doing some type of art which is a bit more like it's not like unique pieces, it's maybe some limited edition prints or stuff like that, it could be really good to run like a giveaway campaign or some contests that are going to increase your reach in terms of like getting new followers and spreading the word about you. But at least you have like limited the contest or what you're giving away to something which clearly is, you know, not the most important or the most exclusive or the most a precious thing, let's say, to you or as part of your work in general. And then the last, which actually is the point for my favorites, is that social media is a lot of work. It's just important to know that when you're starting that you really need to set apart a lot of time and a lot of like creative energy to do it properly. You can of course do it like sporadically, but if you really want it to work, it's going to be a lot of work put into it. I'm always amazed with how expensive nowadays is to like get someone to help you with your accounts. But then for me, there's also a high risk that everything that they do is not going to be aligned to that voice, to that kind of look and feel of what we're trying to achieve. So again, it's a bit of a balance to decide, you know, what works best for you, and maybe it's a bit more about you spending some more time rather than someone else doing it for you. Okay, I see that I'm running a bit late, but it's fine. We'll just have a bit less time for Q&A. The last part that I have for you is 4 examples from social media, from our account, that hopefully will bring to life a bit some of these things that we talked about. So what we can see here is a post whose purpose was to basically show artwork that can be found on the Colleccionar website. And there are a couple of things that I wanted to bring to your attention. So the first one, okay, high quality photos. We always post a combination of the reproductions of the photos themselves. So there will be the photo on the right. And then we will also post a visual where this artwork is placed into the interior. Maybe, you know, there is a risk that this looks a bit cringe, but I would just say try to find the interiors that you are most happy with. There is a huge benefit in showing people very quickly and in the most intuitive way, and this is for a photo and the scale in space. How big is the artwork that we're talking about? Because if they just see the picture on the right, and even if you write into the caption that it's whatever, 100 times 90 centimeters, 50% of them will not read it. The other 50 will maybe read it, but won't really have a feeling around how big that is. So by putting it in space, in scale, it's very important to keep them interested, because they're immediately visually got this information around some more aspects of this artwork. In terms of the caption, authentic and informative. So we could have written here Alba Miochev, Moj morski pad, the size of the painting is this, and it was made in this year, and it's oil on canvas. But we really wanted to kind of share a bit of our own excitement about that art piece, about like different things, give a bit of advice around how people can combine different artworks together to make them stand out even more, share some kind of ideas that it doesn't have to be the same techniques, basically give them some information which they will hopefully find valuable, write it in a format that it will look authentic. We have like called out here all of the artists who are in this collage that we have created for this room. By tagging them, they will also like reshare these posts. It doesn't need to be other artists for you. Maybe it's someone who helped you do whatever you're doing, and you can in that way kind of include them in what you're saying. And then again, kind of carefully chosen hashtags. We have a list of, I don't know, 10, 15 that we always use more or less. And then we will just like personalize a bit for the exact person that we are talking about, the exact artist. But in general, the idea is that if someone looks for the same hashtag, they will see a lot of our stuff on the search when it comes out. So this one is about presenting artwork. The other one is about presenting yourself. Okay, we for us, it's not about presenting ourselves, but rather our artists. But for example, this was an occasion where we wanted to create a bit of a hype around an exhibition opening. And the day before the exhibition, we shared this carousel of photos that were made during the setup of the exhibition, where we were working together with the artist, and we can see her here kind of putting the artwork, like really, you know, putting up her sleeves, doing the work, us doing the work, like, and we're basically saying, you know, a couple of photos from yesterday's lineup of the exhibition, which was creative, long-lasting, and sometimes frustrating, but most of all fun. So again, kind of like exposing that it's not always like everything perfect, but also getting them to join our story a bit. So the point here is like your own brand, present yourself, expose yourself a bit to the level that you're comfortable with. I mean, expose sounds very, it's a very like strong word, but basically it's just like show a bit of the things that you do. You can share your process. You can show that you're like, show teamwork, that you're doing stuff with other people, that other people are supporting you or helping you, celebrate them for that. So this was in October 2023, so we existed for 6 months, almost 300 likes, just to show that like this type of content really works. The third one that I wanted to call out is showing the impact. So here we're looking at, again, a carousel of photos from an exhibition opening. And we really always put a lot of effort into making sure that like we have good photos of the art events themselves, where we can see, you know, that people have come, people are interested in this, they like it. You know, it's not just that they follow us on Instagram, which is like very easy because they just need to click follow, but actually take the time and like come and visit these events. And the idea is that people like people, people like what other people like. And through this, we can show all the different emotions that will happen on these exhibitions, whether because someone is like super interested while looking at some art or having a smile on their face, or they're having fun with other people who came to the exhibition. It just helps create and kind of like a buzz around what you're doing, because we can see that this was recognized by other people in real life and not only in likes. And then the last one is about bringing it all to life through videos. Videos are like critical part of our whole approach in terms of presenting artists. One of my partners is a film director, so we have the luck that we have someone who is like super professional with that, but also we need to engage a lot of other people to help us make these videos, like improve them in post-production and so on. But it's something that we don't want to compromise on. It's important because it will bring the audience into the world of the artists. Like a photo cannot compare with a video. Again, talking about the reels, you can see if it's not too small on some of these reels on the right hand side that the kind of they had 10,000 views, 10, 4, 10, 7, 3, 9, 5. So this is a lot more than the number of followers that we had in this moment, just because they were like pushed through the algorithm because they're reels. Or because we also have like done something in through like inviting the artist to be a contributor, so that when we post something, it also comes in the account of the artist themselves, so it's automatically reaching their followers as well. But in general, I think like videos are super important. They don't need to be super professionally done. You can make them with your own phone. But it will really give a different aspect to your presentation of yourself and the art that you do. Okay, key takeaways, which is the last thing. So some things that I really want you to remember from today's presentation, and I think maybe you will get the presentation itself, so at least you will have some things to instigate your memory. But the first point, being present on digital platforms is a must for artists. Really nowadays, I don't. There's no reason why not to do it, and you're just like cutting yourself a lot of opportunities by not doing it. The second one is that anyone can build a website, and if you want, you can start tomorrow, and next week you will have a website. So just find the right hosting platform that works best for you. Whatever you do, website, social media account, whatever, try to make it personal. Give a bit of yourself. It will make a huge difference. Choose the right online platform marketplace for your artwork. Don't waste time by, I don't know, building your profiles on platforms where nothing is going to happen. And I think this was one of the questions, so we can talk about that in a minute. And the last one is have good photos. So whatever you do, make sure you have good photos. That's all from me. Thank you for listening. Zara, shall I go quickly through the questions now?
Yeah, I think we should do the Q&A part now.
Okay, cool. So I think the first one was from Antonia. Can you give some examples of niche platforms? That's hard because it depends on like what you're actually doing. But the point is that more that anyone can open an account on Sachi Art, for example, which sounds like super like a huge accomplishment because Sachi is one of the biggest auction houses, and I know a lot of people who have like their artwork there, but they have never sold anything, and they probably never will, and they put like prices which are completely insane, and they know that probably no one is ever going to click on this, but I think maybe someone randomly is going to come, and maybe I will just like catch them and get much more for this piece than I would otherwise. In my point of view, that's not necessarily a good strategy. I would rather find, like, for example, what we are doing in Croatia. Like if I was a young painter, I would find a platform like that, where there's going to be less artists, where I see through like the website and everything that they do, like what type of a gallery that is, how they work with artists, who they focus on. It could even be like gallery that just has an online part, which is quite like up to date. And you think that the people who are represented there are similar, like you fall into that group maybe in a better way or more naturally than, for example, on Coleccionar. So you need to find these like galleries, I would say, that will seem like they're a good fit for you. Otherwise, yeah, you can be on Etsy or you can be on, I don't know, Art Finder or Artsy, but I think for like artists that are at the earlier stage of their like professional development and are coming from smaller markets, the success rate on like such big platforms is not going to be that high. So I would try to find something local. Sarah, question one, what if we are now, like Nik used to be, having a career in one field business and also active in the art world as artist or otherwise? What would be your advice on how do you address the social media aspect and the multi-aspect of our personas, separate accounts on social media, or do you have any examples of people handling this well? Yeah, I mean, you can definitely have separate accounts. This is very common. But I would encourage you to think whether the stuff that you would like share with regards to like the art and also part of that like exposing your story and so on is going to be misaligned with you as whatever your own person intimately or having a business account. Like I doubt that maybe on Instagram you don't really have this other career account, but rather your personal. You can split them, but in my opinion, if you really want to like engage in like building this audience that's going to be around your art, I would rather start changing this personal one into having content that is a bit more art focused, because I think it's going to be more natural to then combine this all with your own person and everything that you are. And do I have examples of people handling this well? I can't think now immediately, but a lot of artists, for example, have some like side projects where they will do like some different kind of art, maybe something a bit more like simple, and then they will create a special brand for that. And then if you go on those links, which you can find on their account, for me, most typically, all these other accounts are much less engaging, and I'm much less interested in them because then they end up being only about that art. So I would always go for a combination of like you individually and the art that you do. Question two about the marketplaces. Any advice when it comes to the postage sending artworks across the border within EU? So within EU is great because we don't have the like tariffs and like what is it called, the tariffs and so on. So that's super easy. There are some I have some like links for companies within Croatia that offer that in a relatively okay price. The thing that is super important is that you package them really, really well. And whoever you end up working with will explain what that actually means. But yeah, That's super important. And because of this reason, and because art is quite expensive, very often like big players like DHL, UPS, and so on, were not willing to like open a business account with us, because the price becomes the price of the things being sold and the risk of it getting destroyed becomes a problem. So then it's better to find some like smaller companies, which are still not so small in dispatching. They could have like 100 vans, but at least they can offer a bit of a more personal approach. And maybe Zara, if you can just remind me to find the link and send to whatever channel you have during the week for people. Huh?
Yes, I will remind you, don't worry.
Super, thank you. And then which platforms, if any, permits integration of virtual exhibitions such as Arts at Kunstmatrix? I don't have experience with Arts or Kunstmatrix, but I know that when we go this like virtual filming of the gallery, which is now on the website, on our website. This was like super easy, and I'm pretty sure since for Art Steps and Kunstmatrix, their whole point is that this is gonna be presented to other people and on other people's websites. I would assume that it's super easy to just like drop that into the kind of back end of your website. But I might be wrong. I would encourage you to just like Google. It will probably be a quick answer, like, can I integrate this into Shopify or whatever? Super, Antonia shared this, and maybe image format to consider WebP. Okay, this is great. This is people sharing ideas together. Okay, I think I'm done with the questions. If anyone else has any comments or feedback or whatever, please shout now. Stella, as a gallerist, do you see increasing interest from traditional artists in exploring the NFT space with their physical art? Are there some good examples of artists who have made this shift? So there's always like the example of Damien Hirst, who, I mean, this is in the international market, but in general, I think there are like a couple of really famous contemporary artists who have decided to like explore this avenue a bit more. And I think the fact that they are already super well established and have their own like market audience, buyers who are willing to spend a lot of money, makes it much easier for them than to sell the NFTs as well. So I'm sure you will be able to find additional examples as well. From like my own experience of talking to artists that are either on Colleccionart or other people in the scene in Croatia, I feel that still they're not really that much interested in doing this. There are some like I think there's a bit of a resistance in like moving to a completely different medium. I think there is a bit of kind of thinking that they wouldn't be able to achieve similar, like prices compared to what they can actually achieve even on the Croatian market, because the people that do know them in Croatia are not probably interested in NFTs. I think NFTs on the global market, it's going to be, probably people from the States, a lot of Asia, like this type of people. These artists are not in this market, so they're not going to probably like benefit that much from this. But yeah, I think like everyone should at least try to go through the process of creating an NFT. We were part of a conference last year that was about NFTs and like different platforms that host NFTs, and we brought some of our artists. I think it was super useful for them to like understand this journey and even to just like make a decision around whether they think that they're interested in this or not. But yeah, I think traditional like artists like could deal in like painting and like sculpture and so on. I think they would probably be like less interested, whereas someone who's more on the side of like even lithography or like limited edition prints, and not to talk about like designers and so on. graphic designers, I think this is a great opportunity for them to like more easily express their artsy side and see what could happen. If we don't have any questions, again, thank you for listening. I hope you didn't fall asleep, and good luck with the rest of the week, and any additional questions that you have. I'm sure they will find their way to me. Just send them in the ether of Flux. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Bye, Zara.
Thank you, Nick, so much. Thank you. Okay, so this would be the second book session we had today. This was the first day, and I hope to see you all tomorrow, maybe even in a larger number. And all the things you need, all the materials, all the questions you have, everything you need, you can just drop in the Telegram group, or you can reach us by email. So yeah, thank you all and see you tomorrow.